Oh, so you're still not into politics? Well, let me tell you something that might change your mind. Did you know that according to the Joint Economic Committee of the U.S. Congress, economic growth and job creation have historically been better under Democratic administrations than Republican ones? That's right, and it's not just political rhetoric. There's solid data to back it up. Let's talk about some facts. Over the past several decades, the U.S. economy has tended to grow faster and create more jobs when a Democrat is in the White House. This isn't just about coincidences or flukes. Princeton economists Alan Blinder and Mark Watson conducted a comprehensive study to understand this phenomenon, examining U.S. economic performance since World War II. And guess what they found? The U.S. economy grew about 1.8 percentage points faster under Democratic presidents than under Republican ones. That's a pretty substantial difference. Now you might ask, why is this the case? Let's dive into some key reasons. First, let's talk about fiscal policies and government spending. Democrats typically favor more government spending, especially on social programs, infrastructure, and public services. Why does this matter? Because this kind of spending stimulates demand in the economy. When the government invests in infrastructure or education, it doesn't just help in the short term. It lays down the foundation for long-term economic growth. This was evident during the Obama administration, which enacted the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in 2009, a massive fiscal stimulus package aimed at combating the Great Recession. It helped pull the economy out of its slump faster than many had predicted, creating millions of jobs and restoring consumer confidence. On the other hand, Republicans often advocate for reducing government spending and shrinking the size of government. This might sound good if you're worried about deficits, but cutting back on government spending can slow down economic growth, especially during a recession. Take the austerity measures pushed by some Republicans after the 2008 financial crisis. Many economists argue these measures actually slowed the recovery in some areas, as reducing government spending led to fewer jobs and less money in people's pockets. Second, let's look at tax policies. Democrats generally support progressive tax policies, which means taxing higher income earners and corporations at higher rates to fund social programs and investments in public goods. This approach helps redistribute wealth and increases government revenue, which can then be reinvested in the economy. Under President Clinton, for example, the economy saw significant growth, balanced budgets, and even a surplus. His administration raised taxes on the wealthiest Americans, which helped pay down the national debt and fund vital programs. Republicans, by contrast, tend to favor tax cuts, especially for the wealthy and corporations. The idea here is that if businesses and high-income earners pay less in taxes, they'll invest more in the economy, creating jobs and boosting growth. This is often referred to as supply-side economics or trickle-down economics. However, the results have often been mixed. The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, for example, led to a short-term boost in corporate profits and stock buybacks, but the benefits didn't trickle down as broadly as promised. Wage growth remained sluggish, and the national deficit increased significantly. Third, let's consider regulation. Democrats typically support more regulation in key sectors like finance, the environment, and labor. While some argue that regulation can add costs for businesses, it also protects consumers, workers, and the environment. The Dodd-Frank Act, passed during the Obama administration, is a good example. It was enacted to prevent another financial meltdown, like the one in 2008, by increasing oversight of the banking industry. Critics said it would stifle growth, but in reality, it helped stabilize the financial sector without hampering economic recovery. Republicans, on the other hand, often advocate for deregulation. The argument here is that less government interference allows businesses to operate more freely, which can lead to growth. While deregulation can spur short-term economic gains, it can also lead to longer-term instability. Think about the 2008 financial crisis again, a period marked by significant deregulation in the financial sector. The lack of oversight allowed risky financial practices to flourish, ultimately leading to a catastrophic economic downturn. Now, let's tackle a common argument from conservatives. They often say that the reason Democrats see better economic results is that they come in after Republicans have cleaned up the economy, implying that Democrats reap the benefits of the hard work done by Republicans. But this is a misleading argument. If we look at the timing of recessions and recoveries, there isn't strong evidence that supports the idea that Republicans always leave the economy in better shape for Democrats. In fact, Democratic presidents often inherit economies in recession or with high unemployment rates, and then oversee periods of recovery and growth. Obama inherited the Great Recession, and through stimulus spending and other measures, presided over a significant recovery. Similarly, Clinton inherited a slow recovery from a recession in the early 1990s and left office with a booming economy and a budget surplus. Furthermore, many of the economic downturns, like the Great Recession of 2008, occurred under Republican leadership, contradicting the idea that Democrats only do well because they start from a good place. Lastly, let's address the idea that economic impacts take years to kick in, so any good results under Democrats are really the effects of previous Republican policies. While it's true that some policies take time to show their full impact, many economic policies have immediate effects. Tax cuts, fiscal stimulus, and regulatory changes often have quick impacts on growth, investment, and employment. For example, the immediate job growth following the passage of the ARA in 2009, or the immediate increase in corporate profits following the 2017 tax cuts, shows that policy changes can quickly impact the economy. In conclusion, the data and research, like the study from Princeton by Blinder and Watson, show that economic performance tends to be better under Democrats. This isn't because they're luckier or because of long-term lag effects from previous administrations. It's about the policies they choose to implement, policies that often involve strategic investments in people, infrastructure, and regulations that create a more stable and equitable economy. So maybe it's time to reconsider that stance on politics because, like it or not, it has a huge impact on our economy, our jobs, and our everyday lives.